Okay guys, so if you were absent on Monday, we did cover quadratics, so I'm just going to go over it really quick. So you could pick up the worksheet or just write this down on a separate worksheet, write down the vocab, write down the definitions, and then turn it in and show it to me to get your points. Okay, so I'm just going to start at the top. A quadratic is a polynomial at degree 2, and this is the standard form, ax squared plus bx plus c. So a quadratic is when it has a shape of a parabola. That's what it's called, a parabola, and it just looks like a U or an upside down U. And the way that you know that is if a is a positive number or a is a negative number. So what do I mean by a is over here at the standard form equation, ax squared. That means that it is a number in front of x squared. And if the number in front of x squared is positive, then it's just going to look like a U, and if it's negative, it's going to go upside down. Maximum is the top of the U if it's upside down. Minimum is the bottom of the U if it's just like a U. If they tell you about a vertex, we want a vertex point. So we want an x coordinate and a y coordinate. And it just means like this is the vertex, the minimum, or the maximum. That's the vertex. So we want to know where it is. Line of symmetry. Symmetry is when you cut something and it's the same on both sides. So line of symmetry is a vertical line. And if you have a U, it's going to cut it right in half. And then parent function, so that's the last one. Parent function is like your parent, right, where you come from. So it is the original equation, and it just means it has x squared. That's a quadratic. It doesn't have extra numbers, nothing else. And if you draw it, it's going to be right at the middle at 0, 0, and then it's just going to be a U. So again, if you were absent, you should take notes on all this vocab. Just get a separate piece of paper or grab the paper from school and take the notes. Then you can show me, you can get back your points. So for the bottom, now the actual problems, here you guys are going to look at all the equations, and really fast you just tell me if they make a U, so parabola that's going up, or is it upside down. That's really it. Okay, how would you know that? You can look really fast. You guys are going to look at the equation, and you look at the one that has x squared. There's a number in front of it. If this number is positive, then it's a U. And if the number's negative, then it's upside down. And that's about it. Okay, so that's what I wrote here. If the number is positive, it's a U, it opens up. And if the number is negative, then it's upside down. So number 1, what's the number in front of x squared? A 1, a positive 1. So a equals positive 1, so it's a normal U. It's a minimum. Okay, number 2, what number is in front of x squared? You always look for x squared. Again, an invisible 1. A equals a positive 1, so it's a U, a minimum. Number 3, what number is in front of x squared? There's a negative 4. Okay, it's this number. A equals negative 4. It's a negative number. It's upside down now. That's a maximum. Okay, that's a max. Number 4, what number is in front of x squared? A positive 3. A equals a positive 3, so it's a normal U. Number 5, what number is in front of x squared? A negative 2. A equals negative 2, so it's upside down. You should be able to finish the rest. You're just doing the same thing. Look at the number in front of x squared and then tell me what it is, normal U or upside down. Okay, now we're actually going to get into some of the algebra. So for these problems on the back of the paper, there are 4 problems. You can look at them now. Okay, you guys are going to find me the vertex point. That means I need an answer where it is x and y. I need that as an answer. And then you can draw a sketch with the line of symmetry. Okay, so let's look at number 10. We have this equation, y equals x squared plus 2x plus 5. I need to know where the vertex is. So if you just look at the equation right now, you should already know that it is a normal U. It's a normal parabola. How do you know that? Because the number in front of x squared is a positive 1. So it is a normal U. But I want to know, where is the parabola, right? Where is it? If I did a little grid, is it going to be right here in the middle? Or is it going to be maybe to the right and up? Is that where the U's at? Or is it on this side? Or is it on the bottom of the graph? Like, where is it? So we do need to do algebra for that. So first what we're going to do is you're going to tell me what A, B, and C is. A is the number in front of x squared. So what number's here? A positive 1. B is the number in front of x. So that's a positive 2. And C is the number that doesn't have an x. So that would be a 5. For this formula, Right now I'm going to give you guys a formula. It only tells you the answer to x. It only tells you the answer to x. Okay? So the formula is x equals negative b over 2a. That is the formula. It's super tiny, super small. So what we're going to do is we're going to use it. We're going to put a negative, and then we put b. Well, the number for b is a 2, so now you got to put a 2. And on the bottom, you're going to put a 2 because it says 2, and then it says a. So now you got to put the number for a. A is a 1, so you got to put a 1 in there. Okay, now you just simplify it. The top, negative and 2, that just makes negative 2, right? And on the bottom, 2 times 1 is a 2. And now you divide them. First, you got to put negative 2 in the calculator, the top number divided by 2, and it turns into a negative 1. So there you go. We have the answer. X equals negative 1. X equals negative 1. So now we have half the answer. The vertex is at negative 1. What does that mean already? Okay, if you kind of think about what that answer is telling you, it means that negative 1 is this way. This is negative 1. It means the parabola has to be right here. It has to be right here. It could be up here, or maybe down here, or maybe down here, or maybe at the bottom, but it has to be on negative 1. It's not going to be over here at 10. No. Okay, we already know half the answer. So now we want to know, well, where is it specifically? So in class we did talk about what would we do with this answer. If we know that x equals negative 1, what could we do? Well, we can use our formula. So if we know that x equals negative 1, where you see an x, you're going to put a negative 1. And where you see an x, you're going to put a negative 1. So that's exactly what we're going to do. So I'm just going to write the equation again. Y equals x squared plus 2x plus 5. And where I see an x, I'm going to put parentheses in front and behind. In front of the x and behind the x, okay? You don't put anything inside. Only the x goes inside. And now you guys are going to, well, I'm going to write it again. But I'm going to scribble away the x, right? The x's are going away. It'd look like that. And then squared. Plus 2 parentheses plus 5. And now where I see an x, what number am I going to put? The answer that we got, negative 1. That's what we're going to put. So I'm going to put a negative 1, negative 1. And now I can use my calculator. So if you want to use your calculator, this is what you would plug in the calculator. You don't put that in the calculator, only this part. Parentheses, negative 1, parentheses squared, plus 2, parentheses, negative 1, parentheses, plus 5. That's what you would put in the calculator. You can also do it in pieces. If you don't have a calculator at home, you can also use Desmos. So let's go to Desmos. And you literally type it in exactly the same. So Desmos takes a little bit. There you go. So parentheses, negative is just a minus sign on Desmos. Squared. Okay, this is squared, the one with the A2. Plus 2 parentheses, negative 1 parentheses, plus 5. And what answer do I get? 4. It tells you right here in the little corner, equals 4. If you want to do it in your head, negative 1 times negative 1, that's what that means with the squared, is 1. Plus 2 times negative 1 is negative 2, plus 5. So then that just means you can add these two numbers. 5 plus 1 is 6, and then you still have this minus 2. So 6 minus 2 is 4. You get the same answer. So same answer, okay? Y equals 4. So there you go. Now we have the other part of the answer. So the answer to the vertex is negative 1 comma 4. And now you know where the vertex is on the graph, right? So if we go to our graph, negative 1 is 1 to the left and up 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. That is where the vertex is. That's the bottom of the parabola, and we know that the parabola was pointing up, so it was supposed to be drawn like that. So now you can draw it. I'm just going to draw a U. And there you go. That's my sketch. So let's do one more really fast. So again, tell me A, B, and C. A equals negative 1. The number in front of x squared is a negative, so that's a negative 1. B equals 4, and C in the back is a negative 7. Okay, there's a minus sign, so it's a negative 7. We don't need the C, but we will need the C sometimes. x equals negative b over 2a. That's the formula. So now we're going to do negative and then put b. That would be the 4. And then on the bottom, put 2 and a. A is a negative 1. Don't forget, it's negative 1 that goes in there. And then now we reduce. On the top, you have negative 4, so that's just negative 4. And on the bottom, 2 times a negative 1 is a negative 2. Now when you divide this, negative 4 divided by negative 2. And that's a positive 2. X equals positive 2. Two negatives divide to a positive. Okay, now we have the answer. Vertex equals 2 comma, we don't know the other number. So what are we going to do? Again, where we see an x, we're going to put the number 2 into the formula. So here's our formula. This one looks a little different. They did put f of x, and remember you can change f of x to y if you don't like f of x. That's fine too. So that's probably what I'll do. So I'm just going to write the formula. Y equals negative x squared plus 4x minus 7. All I did was copy it. That's all I did. Now parentheses go in front of the x. In front of the x means right here, not with the minus sign. And behind the x, in front of the x, behind the x. And now I'm going to write it again. Negative parentheses squared plus 4 parentheses minus 7. And that's a minus. Okay, if you are using the calculator, it's a minus 7, not negative 7. And now we put the answer for x. Okay, our answer was 2. So I'm going to put a 2 in there in the parentheses. And then we would plug it into the calculator. If you don't have a calculator, then you can plug it into Desmos. In Desmos, the negatives and the minuses are the same though. But on our calculator for school, they're different. So just make sure. Okay, so I'm going to use Desmos for this one. Negative parentheses 2 parentheses squared plus 4 parentheses 2 minus 7. And the answer is negative 3. So y, okay, so y equals negative 3. Right, we saw that on Desmos. So there you go, there's our answer, 2, negative 3. So you can draw me a picture of it. 2, negative 3. 2, positive 2 means 2 to the right, and negative 3 means 3 down. So this is where the vertex is. So now I just need to draw the u. Is the u going to go up, or is it going to be upside down? Right, and we talked about that at the front of the page. Well, the number in front of x squared is a negative, negative 1, so it is upside down. So you should be drawing an upside down u. And there you go. That's our graph. All right, all done. You should be able to finish the other 2 problems.